Welcome to Eagles post-game analysis here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest-running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world, 12 years strong. And this week, the Philadelphia Eagles beating Minnesota Vikings up in Minnesota by a score of 28-22. The Eagles are now 5-2 on the season. They are atop of the NFC East as we are recording this. I'm Jeff Warren. I'm here with my good buddy Josh Schuster from PhiladelphiaSoccerNow.com, filling in for the guys here as we do this post-game show. First and foremost, Josh, you've been busy as heck. I've been busy as heck. The Eagles were busy today. We're going to get into it. Thanks for jumping on, buddy. I appreciate it, my friend.
Anytime, Jeff. It's always a delight to talk about this football team.
Yes, it is. Look here, folks. They won. We love a win, of course. It was a get right game for the Eagles, and while they were certainly not perfect by any stretch, and we're going to get into this offense, we're going to take the win, and I'm happy they won. I don't necessarily know if we can say it was a get right game, Josh. I don't know if we can say. I feel like it was a semi get right game after it was all said and done here. But folks, we're going to get into our themes. Then we're going to get into our grades after the break. But for me, Josh, the first theme of this game, we got to dive into the offense too, because it's been the dominating storyline, the lack of a rushing attack. And again, we saw this week only 23 total carries by this team for 45 yards. Saquon Barkley averaged 2.4 yards per carry on 18 carries. We're going to get into the reasons why, but this is an offensive line that's just not playing at a high level. There are injuries, yes, of course, a lot of sloppy play. The depth is just not coming through like we need them to come through, specifically Brett Toth. Cam Jurgens went out in the first half, and everything just seemed to implode when Brett Toth was out there, especially with the rushing attack. So a get-right game, yes, to a certain extent, but boy, this rushing attack is having major problems.
Yeah, I have a different theme, so maybe we'll do that here at the end.
Okay.
But kind of building off what you said, I actually heard a really alarming statistic as I was coming home from doing a work thing. I think it was Rob Ellis was talking about the fact of Saquon Barkley's yards per carry per quarter.
Yeah.
It starts off really, really good with over 5 yards a carry in the first quarter. And then it goes down and down. And then in the fourth quarter, he is not even averaging 2 yards a carry this season.
Incredible, man.
That is really, especially, I think part of it, Jeff, gives the answer as to why the Eagles are having a hard time closing out games and why these games, if you look at last year, they didn't have a problem closing out games.
Right.
Because the running game took over. Now they have a lead. They can't run the ball. So not only is the other team still in it, the defense is getting back out on the field a lot quicker.
Yeah.
This team has a third down problem. And I mean that on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely.
The offense cannot help going 3 and out. They put one drive together, the first drive of the game, and then they just go 3 and out for an extended period of time.
That first drive of the game, I was going to mention 12 plays, 75 yards, 1 touchdown. 4 drives after that, Josh, 13 plays for a total of 27 yards.
Yeah.
Because of the third down you're talking about. Yeah.
Like today, since we're doing the recap for today's game, was almost allowing Minnesota to be at 50% conversion rate on third down.
Yeah.
Neither side of the ball on this team knows how to do what they need to do on third down.
Absolutely.
And it's a problem.
That's a consistent theme. That is a consistent theme. Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought it up because actually I take some notes every now and again when I'm watching these Eagles games, and Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo said they worked on third down efficiency during the, the mini bye that they had. But as we're watching this Eagles offense consistently, it's not even just like the third down efficiency, even though, yes, third down is absolutely terrible because they're always third and long. What's happening is that Jalen Hurts is throwing balls to the receivers well short of the first down marker, but it's also first and second down where they're not able to get penetration through the defense in front of them. So that's a huge issue that was not cleaned up in the quote mini bye week. And again, it was supposed to be a get right game. They did get right in certain ways, which I think we're going to be getting into in a bit here. But in terms of the rushing attack, they have not gotten right at all.
No. I'm gonna change gears a little bit here and talk about my theme, and that's quarterback play. There's a couple of takeaways I have for quarterback play.
Okay.
The first is, as a league, we need to stop anointing first-year quarterbacks who have a good year as the next great thing. Like, I don't want to hear about Jaden Daniels anymore. Right. He has been horrible this season. He had a good season last year. It's been proven over and over and over again when NFL coordinators get tape and have a whole summer to watch, more often than not, it's not going to be great. That's kind of my first takeaway. From this game, you have a hero ball quarterback. I don't want to hear that Jalen Hurts plays hero ball. Carson Wentz is the definition of hero ball. Okay?
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, when he is trying to avoid a sack, I'm going to take Wentz's second interception as a prime example of what I'm talking about. When he threw his second interception, Wentz spun out, right? Got away from the pressure and just chucked it downfield.
Yeah.
Well, picked off. For Hurts, literally, as soon as he takes the field, the next snap is a pass play. Same exact kind of pressure, gets out of pressure, and what does Jalen Hurts do? He throws it away.
Yes.
Right? It's literally the exact same play. Quarterback under pressure, having to scramble, they handle it differently.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes, I consider a hero ball quarterback. But you know what? He's a generational talent.
Yes.
So you can live with his interceptions. The problem is there's a lot of quarterbacks that try to be Patrick Mahomes. And I'm starting to put Josh Allen in this category because he has not been that great. And when the moments have mattered the most and the lights have shined the brightest, he has kind of failed to deliver.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts, I kind of put in a different category of will do what it takes to win quarterbacks.
Yes.
Meaning that if it means avoiding the pressure and throwing the ball away, they're going to do that. Or they'll scramble for 5 yards and go down. Right. So my biggest takeaway was I'm done hearing about the Hurts hero ball. It's not hero ball.
Yeah.
And I used to be, on the Wentz wagon, and just watching that game today just brought flashbacks of just
absolutely.
He can make brilliant plays, but then you're going to have 2 or 3 plays where you're like, dude, throw it away.
Yeah.
Let's throw it away. And so my big takeaway was kind of quarterback play in this game, but also across the league.
I think it's a great theme because you saw, and I think you continue to see, Josh, the poise of Jalen Hurts game after game. And again, he's not perfect at all. He will even tell you he needs to continue to work on his game week after week. But let's take, for example, the first touchdown, which was the A.J. Brown touchdown to start the game, that first drive. And I want to say we actually saw the Eagles using motion correctly on that play. Mm-hmm. A.J. Brown went into motion, ran his route. There was that bit of hesitation by him, and then he full out sprinted into his go route. Jalen Hurts hits him for that very first touchdown. And this is what our friend of the podcast, Shane Haff from the Eagles Pinpool Network, was talking about on the show this past week. Eagles have not been utilizing motion in a way that is going to help breed success. They've only been using motion to help understand the defense in front of them, whether it's man or zone. This play in particular went to exactly what Shane and I were talking about last week on the show. And I think it goes to show, whether it's Jalen Hurts or whether it's Kevin Patullo, that we have to give some sort of credit in that regard. However, on the flip side of that, in fact, you know what? I'll get to that in a little bit here because it really deals with the rushing attack, going back to that. But I think from a passing attack standpoint, we saw some incredible stuff from the Eagles. When you look at Jalen Hurts, he went 19 to 23. This is to what you're talking about. 19 to 23, 326 yards, 14.2 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns. Yes, he was sacked 3 times. Some of those sacks were a little ugly here and there, but he ended with a rating of 158.3. That is perfect. It's perfect here in the NFL. And you finally have Devonta Smith getting 11 targets. He came down with 9 balls for 183 yards. A.J. Brown had 6 targets, came down with 4 of them for 121 yards. A.J. Brown with 2 touchdowns, Devonta with 1 touchdown. Dallas Goedert wasn't as much involved in this game, but this was the game finally where we got to see Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown shine. Dude, we have been waiting now for how many weeks here? We've been waiting for like 7-8 weeks here at this point. Yeah. We finally saw it. And that's the big positive takeaway that I wanted to mention as we're in the middle of our discussion here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I say this not as a slight again to Josh Allen. It probably sounds like I'm anti Josh Allen here. I'm not.
I don't think it is.
Great first name.
Yeah.
But I believe Jalen Hurts was 10 of 12 in the second half.
Yeah.
He couldn't miss, right? The tendency with Jalen Hurts, when are his best games? In the playoffs when the lights are brightest.
Yeah.
Right. So normally I don't consider winning a quarterback stat. I got to give it a little bit to Hurts with that because Absolutely. I do think that he has, I don't know what it is, but you cannot argue or debate. If you want to debate me on taking Dak Prescott during the regular season over Jalen Hurts, fine, whatever. You want to talk preseason or postseason and playoffs? It's not even close. Right? I don't know that there's many quarterbacks who play their best games in the postseason other than Jalen Hurts. And this is including Mahomes, right? Mahomes is he's like a roller coaster ride. You're going to get some really great moments and he's going to have some really low moments. Hurts he just rises come the playoffs. And he did the same thing today. I mean, it was almost like Jalen went in at halftime and said, you know what? We're going to win this game, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make it happen. And he did it. And he played. This was the Jalen Hurts game that we've been hoping for weeks.
Absolutely.
He was confident with his reads. If you go back and watch, he progressed through his reads very quickly. The last number of weeks, that hasn't really been the case. This week, he was confident, progressed through the reads, and didn't lock in on one person. And it's like, they're covered. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right.
So just a great game from him today.
Case in point, what you're talking about here, Josh, there's I think it was the team coming out right after the half, their first drive after the half, when you actually saw some play action, huge play to Devonta Smith, 79-yard touchdown. Fun fact about under the center play action. According to True Media, the Eagles had 0 passing yards on under center play action for the first 6 weeks of the season. Yep. And by the way, that 79-yard touchdown was not only against Isaiah Rodgers, but it was under center play action. They modified something there and did something different, especially to start the second half, to kind of put their foot on the Vikings' neck a bit there. And it absolutely worked. I thought that was fantastic. And I thought that, if Kevin Patullo, if we're going to give him credit, that really is an area where we need to give him credit. Now, something I was getting ready to say before, and I'm going back to the rushing attack. I mean, there's a pretty critical third down with about 14 minutes left in the game. They give it to Saquon Barkley. It's like 3rd and 5. The Eagles decide to run Barkley. Brett Toth pulling and completely screwing up his blocking assignment. And that's the type of stuff that's on Kevin Patullo and the offensive, just the offensive coordination at that particular time. The in-game offensive management, absolutely horrendous play call in that situation. But I think what we need to realize is that the Eagles were able to get out from under it because of what you're talking about, because of Jalen Hurts, because of the passing attack and how it really did work in this game. And again, against Isaiah Rodgers, who everybody's like, we got rid of him and stuff. And it was great to see the passing attack come together and work the way that it should. The development of the passing attack, I'm really happy to where it is. Again, a get-right game for the offense, but maybe only 50%. You know what I mean?
I don't even know if it's 50%.
Yeah, it may not be. Maybe that's being optimistic.
Jeff, like I had texted you towards the end of the game and I had said, this is probably I alluded to the fact that this is like the least confident I've been after a win. There is something really wrong with this offense, and I think it's time for we as Eagles fans to acknowledge how spoiled we've been with offensive line play and admit that what the Eagles are rolling out right now is mediocre at best. On a good day, it's mediocre.
Yeah.
On the offensive line, this isn't a Stoutland problem. This is when you have as much success as the Eagles have had, teams are going to poach your depth, and players are going to retire, right? Like, I mean, that's part of this. I am really concerned about this offensive line and this offense still.
Yeah.
I know the score says they scored 28, but they really scored 21 points. And the point that I made to you is with all the money that you have invested on that side of the ball, you should be scoring more than 20. Like, we shouldn't be celebrating that the offense was able to put up more than 17 points. When like 2/3 of your salary cap is designated to that.
Right.
It's not, this is not a good situation. And I think they should be very thankful that they were playing Carson Wentz, because in all reality, if they aren't, and he doesn't throw that gift pick six, the Eagles lost this game.
Absolutely.
22-21.
Absolutely.
So I really, I haven't removed my hand from the panic button. It's still kind of hanging over there.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of see what happens.
Yes, absolutely. I forgot right off the bat, folks, to go over the injuries in this game. Aziz Ojulari went to the locker room in the first quarter with a hamstring injury. We talked about Cam Jurgens when he went out with his knee injury in the second quarter. I mean, the rushing attack just absolutely nosedived. Jeremiah Trotter went out in the second quarter with an ankle injury, and Adoree Jackson went out with a concussion. There certainly was a scare with Saquon Barkley with a possible concussion or something going on with his shoulder as we were watching him on the sidelines being taken care of by the trainers, but he did come back into the game. But I mean, let's shift over to the defense, if that's all right, Josh, because I think the defense, they came into this game with only 5 takeaways. Dead last in the league. Jalix Hunt ends up getting that pick 6 in the second quarter. You were talking about just how the hero ball of Carson Wentz probably isn't the way for teams and quarterbacks to get it done. He was trying to do so much of that. And you got to say thanks to Jalen Carter for getting right through that Vikings offensive line and pressuring Wentz to get that pick 6. And then on the very next drive, Carson Wentz throws an interception, a pick by Andrew Makuba, who is a rookie learning this game, having some great moments and also having some really tough moments too. Man, Andrew Makuba whiffing on tackles here and there throughout the game, giving up big yards, but then he comes through in big plays too. Like we are seeing the ups and downs of a rookie safety in this league like we have never seen before with Andrew Makuba. But overall, and we're going to get to our grades in a bit here after the break, but the defense overall, not great, not horrendous. But I think that, the news that Brandon Graham may be coming out of retirement, wonder how much he really does
this week. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder how much that's going to impact this defense and the pass rush too, given his age. We love him. We love the nostalgia of Brandon Graham. I don't know. He hasn't been on the field here for a little while, but the pass rush, I was happy. I was happy that Wentz was sacked twice, but again, we're only seeing another sack or two. And the pass rush.
Like, to be honest, both those Wentz sacks, it wasn't like a straight up sack. It wasn't trying to be Wentz.
Yeah.
And honestly, he gifted them those sacks. Like, if we're being honest, with another quarterback that's willing to throw the ball away instead of play hero ball, they're probably not sacks.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's just the pass rush is a problem. And I just don't know if Brandon Graham is going to be able to, I don't want to say fix it, because he's certainly not going to fix it, but help it to the extent that we want it to be helped. It needs to be helped.
Yeah, I'm very conflicted on whether I want Howie to make trades at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you can make enough trades to put this team really as a deep run playoff team.
Right.
because you need assets to put on this defense. Like if we're talking about the fact that our defensive is struggling because what was Smith, like 35 years old, is retiring this week, who was like close to the team leader in sacks with like 1.5 or something like that.
Right.
And we're celebrating Brandon Graham coming back, not because he's a, lifelong Eagle, but because we desperately need help on the defensive line. Like I get why Howie did what he did, right? Like if Jalen Carter is truly this disruptor, and today I can say he really was.
Yes.
But really for the other games, he hasn't done much.
He hasn't been that disruptor.
Ejected before the game started, right?
Yes.
Like, he's missed a game. He's been ejected from a game. I don't know. And there's 4 games where he just like didn't really do much of anything.
Yes.
So I get why they did what they did. They anticipated Carter being more of an impact on the defensive line, but like they really did not invest anything in this defensive line. And that is really where you lost 2 of your key pieces this offseason, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You in Sweat and Williams, right? You lost 2 key pieces on the defensive line out of 4, and your approach was to not do anything. That's not great. I'm not going to be super critical of Howie. I think he's an amazing GM. He may be the best GM in all of sports. And this is hindsight being 2020. I think
because both of those guys are going to get paid too, by the way. You know what I mean? And look at the type of seasons they're having. They're having great seasons and just can't pay everybody.
But the problem is, Jeff, they could have paid if they weren't paying so much on the offensive side.
That is very true.
Yes. So that's why I am hypercritical of the offense. Like, you want to invest 2/3 of your cap in the offense? Fine. I'm going to be 2/3 harder on them than I am on the defense, because you know what? You got a bunch of rookies and young players on the defensive side of the ball because you can't pay anybody.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, so it's
on a tangent here.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, we're going to go to break in just a bit here, but folks, we do have to note that yes, we're kind of complaining about that. Well, we are complaining about this pass rush, rightfully so. 2 sacks, but there were 6 tackles for a loss, and there were 8 quarterback hits last week against Jackson Dart and New York Giants. I think there was only 2 quarterback hits last week, 8 this week. You do like to see that. So, with that being said, buddy, do you have any more themes before we go to break and before we get to our grades?
Yeah, I don't know that there's going to be, I know the Eagles are 1-1 in their division. I don't know that there's going to be any easy games left in the division with Jackson Dart in New York. They aren't a rollover anymore. The Cowboys, they generally split with, and the Eagles already took the first one. And the offense there was rolling today. Now their defense is horrible. And Washington, I don't know what to do with Washington because Jaden Daniels got hurt too. Like, I don't know. This division is going to be very interesting because the Eagles have not been convincing in any of their games.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem for me is they've played 7 games now, right? They're 5-2.
Yep.
They have not outgained any of their opponents in any games this year, and that is really concerning. But anyway,
absolutely, absolutely. It's a good way to end this first segment here before going to break, folks. Like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. You can hit that bell to be notified when we post new videos. We've got new content coming to you every week. Our Table Talk interview show, Opposition Territory, which now that we're in Eagles season, that is our pregame shows for each Eagles game, and our regular shows that we drop every Thursday morning. And then we've got our social sites. If you're, you can just search out the Philadelphia Sports Table. You can search out myself. You can search out Eric as well. Just on Instagram, Twitter/X. I'm over on TikTok. We're on Blue Sky, Threads, and we are over on Facebook as well. So we are going to be taking a quick break here, folks, to pay some bills, and we hope you've been enjoying. We'll catch you in just a few. All right, we are back with our good buddy Josh Schuster from PhiladelphiaSoccerNow.com, filling in for the guys here. And by the way, there's some good news in the world of soccer, in Major League Soccer. this Union team, man, heading to the playoffs. And we're gonna be diving into it on a show coming up real soon here, Josh.
Number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Soccer is a bit of a sore point today because Man United beat Liverpool, and I'm pretty unhappy about that.
I know you are,
as you can probably tell from the banner or the scarf. But yeah, no, the Union. Carnell's done an amazing job with this team.
He really has, dude.
We'll leave it at that.
Yep.
That's a teaser for the playoff preview. So
yep, absolutely. All right, well, let's get into some grades here for this Philadelphia Eagles team again as they beat the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 28-22. Let's start with the quarterback play. You can't give anything other than an A+ in my opinion for Jalen Hurts this week. You would agree, my friend?
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point, if you're nitpicking a throw that Hurts missed, I mean, Tom Brady missed throws. Like you're not going to complete every pass, and at this point, you are choosing to be actively a hater of your own team's quarterback, which is just plain stupid.
Yep.
So he gets an A+.
Let's move to the running back position here. Again, just want to reiterate, Saquon Barkley, 2.4 yards per carry on 18 carries. That is 44 yards in this game, with his long being 9 yards. Look, folks, I don't think that – I just don't think it's a Saquon Barkley problem. I really don't think it's a running back problem. It's just the rushing attack, the blocking assignments, this offensive line, like we spoke about before the break. Saquon does what he does out there, and he does it really well, and he's juking, he's spinning, he is trying his best to make plays. I'm actually going to give the guy a B because I can't fault him for where he is at right now in this season, Josh. I can't fault him being at 3.3 yards per carry. It's not his fault, and only 3 touchdowns. It's just not his fault. This offensive line has to be accountable.
I think it's offensive line. I think it's play calling.
That as well. Yes.
Yep. I'll give him a B+.
Okay.
To me, Saquon is having to do Saquon things before he even reaches the line of scrimmage because the defense is already in the backfield.
Yeah. Looks like he's on the Giants again.
Correct. It's exactly like that. And I swear, I've been following how many times they choose to just run him up at the middle in the second half. Like the run play calling specifically in the second half is insane.
It's horrendous.
Keep running it up the middle and it's not working. And it's like, well, maybe this time it will. No, it's not. It's not going to work. You have a backup center in. Why are we doing this? Like, call it play. I don't think Saquon is washed. Like, I don't want to hear anything about, they have a huge season the year before, the next year is terrible. No, when you watch him run, he's still got it. It's not that his skill is diminished or he's tired or whatever. He just can't get past the line of scrimmage because they can't block. They've just forgotten how to block for the run this year. And I think Baldy was talking about it when he said, if you go back to last year, they're mulling guys. And this year they're not. The defense is in the backfield. There's no mauling of players.
Well, let's get to the receivers here. They did everything they were asked this week. And then, Dallas Goedert catching every ball thrown to him. We went over Devonta Smith's and A.J. Brown's stats prior to with Devonta Smith, 20.3 yards per completion or per reception. I'm sorry. A.J. Brown, 30.3 yards per reception. God, I love that so much. I really do. I'm giving the receivers an A+ this week.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I'm actually going to give them an A. They hit a slight tick down because of all the drama that they're causing themselves.
Yes.
But other than that, they were great today.
Okay. Offensive line, they're going to get they're going to get a D- from me. They're going to get a D-, and that's because of the rushing game. Just horrendous. Pass pro, not too bad. Not too bad at all. But the rushing attack, terrible. D- for me. What do you give them?
Yeah, D-.
Okay.
I think that having Hurts back there is a huge help for them.
Yep.
Because you can bail them out a bunch.
Yeah.
This offensive line, it's really time to have the conversation about the Eagles having a very mediocre offensive line now.
We'd love to hear from you out there. PhiladelphiaSportsTable@gmail.com. What do you think about this Eagles offensive line? What's been happening with it? Yes, injuries are abundant, as we know. Landon Dickerson, yes, he was back today, but man, he's just been dealing with it. Cam Jurgens going out. Let us know what you're thinking PhiladelphiaSportsTable@gmail.com. We'd love to read your email here on the show and respond to it. So let's move over to the defensive line. Again, we're talking about the pass rush, talking about stopping the rushing attack as well from the Vikings, which, by the way, Vikings, 89 yards rushing on the day. They averaged 3.9 yards per rushing attempt. Not too bad in terms of that, but overall, the lack of the pass rush, I'm going to give them a C. What do you give them this week?
I think C is fair.
Yeah.
I mentioned that Wentz gifted them 2 sacks, but we say all the time that players need to make plays. So they made the plays. Other than Wentz being Wentz, they really didn't have much pressure on him. Right. So I would say C is fair.
Okay. The linebackers, boy, I got to tell you, Zach Bond, it was really nice also to have the one and only Nakobe Dean back. He had one really nice tackle for a loss. I believe it was in the second half. Just completely blowing right through the gap and tackling Jordan Mason, I believe, for a big loss. It's good to have Nakobe Dean back for sure. I'm going to give the linebackers an A this week. What do you give them?
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A. And to me, Jeff, what today showed was the difference in players being able to trust each other, right?
Great
you
point.
Have Bond and Dean back together, and they trust each other. They feed off each other, and I think that's the reason why this was arguably the best play from the linebackers all season.
Yes, absolutely. Completely agree. All right, the secondary, cornerbacks and the safety position. Boy, really up and down throughout the game. I mean, even Quinyon Mitchell here and there. Great cornerback. I'm not going to crap on him at all, but he had, I mean, when you are covering Justin Jefferson, it's a tall task. It really is. Mm-hmm. One of the best in the league. Even Jordan Addison, a really good wide receiver in this league. I think from an overall standpoint, I think a B+ for the secondary, I think is fair. I don't know. What are your thoughts here? I'm going to give him a B+.
I'm going to give him an A-. Part of it is because they broke up DeJean broke up a pass in the end zone, right? And so anytime you force a team to kick a field goal instead of a touchdown, I got to give you a little more credit for that. So I would say, I give him an A-. I thought they did their job.
Yeah. And we should note, too, with regard to this Eagles defense overall, again, as it's not perfect, the Vikings had 6 possessions in the red zone. 5 of them ended up being field goals. Only 1 was a touchdown. Kind of goes to what you're talking about there, Josh. So, all right, well, let's get into grading the coaches. First, though, we're going to grade special teams this week. Holy cow, Jake Elliott had some issues. Missed the 42-yard field goal indoors, nonetheless, to start the fourth quarter. That was a bit disappointing. He also got penalized for kicking a ball, not even getting to the landing zone in the second half. It was kind of a tough day for him. You also had Braden Mann only averaging 48.7 yards per punt in this game. Really didn't see much out of the return game either. I'm going to give special teams this week a B-. What do you give them?
I'll do the same. I just need to say this landing zone thing is the dumbest thing. I hate it. It started like 2 years ago where they're lining up on the other end of the field. This is just
it stinks.
It's the dumbest thing in the world. It's becoming so hard to explain the game of football. Like my son is 8 years old. And the poor kid, like every year, there's some ridiculous rule change that I now have to try to explain.
Yep.
Well, now they have to kick the ball between here and here, and I
know. I'm the biggest fan of football in the world, and I even forgot, like during preseason games and stuff. I actually forgot about the whole landing zone thing, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? What is happening here?
I can't. I know. I can't.
Well, let's grade the defense now. Defensive coaching, Vic Fangio. I'm going to give Vic Fangio a straight up B this week. What do you give the defensive coaching?
I'm going to give him an A-.
Okay.
You highlighted how often they forced field goals instead of touchdowns.
That is true. I'm giving it a B+ now. B+.
There you go. Eagles social media fans, please know this is Vic Fangio's defense. It is bend but don't break. So please stop freaking out as the team is driving down the field. This is what happens, and then it often becomes field goals. Vic Fangio knows what he's doing. He's working with a lot of young kids.
Yes.
He is not a problem. The defense, it is what it is.
Yep. All right, let's move to the offensive coaching, Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo. I'm going to be giving these gentlemen a C+ this week, and a lot of that is for the rushing attack. It could be a B- because the passing game really got going, and I loved seeing what we saw, all the targets to Devonta and A.J. But I'm going to give a C+ to the offensive coaching. What do you give them?
I'm going to give a B-.
Okay.
For only one reason. We can't complain week after week after week about the fact that the offense looks the same, and today it's a little bit different, and they win, and we don't give them credit.
That's a great point.
Yeah. I do think this offense has a lot of work. But the one thing I will say with the offensive coaching is today gave me a little bit of hope. You highlighted it with the motion. They're leaning on what's working recently, right?
Yes.
That they're throwing the ball because the running game isn't working. I really have a hard time being critical. I don't love that they're scoring 21 points and that we're celebrating the fact that they were able to manage 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
They still cannot play even a straight 45 minutes.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they just disappear for a while. But anyway, I'll give them a B-.
You convinced me. B-. I think that's good. You convinced me, Josh. All right. Again, folks, Philadelphia Eagles beating the Minnesota Vikings here in week 7 by a score of 28-22. He's our good friend, Josh Schuster from PhiladelphiaSoccerNow.com. Buddy, we're going to head out here. You got any final thoughts before we leave the folks out there with this post-game show?
You know, the Chiefs won like 31-0 today, and I saw that score, and I thought to myself, what would it be like for the Eagles to do that this year? Just like go up, score a bunch of points, play for 60 minutes, and not give me a heart attack.
Right.
What would that be like? Maybe next week we'll find out. I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows? Hey, New York Giants next week. Oh, my gosh. So we're going to have to face that team twice in 3 weeks, folks. And we're going to have our Eagles postgame show after that game as well.
They lost a heartbreaker today.
They did.
They will probably be highly motivated.
Yes, absolutely. Again, folks, he's Josh Schuster. I'm Jeff Warren. That's going to do it for us here on this Eagles postgame podcast show. Take care, and we will catch you next time.